Hey, let's get going. Welcome everybody to the Irish Laser Association pre-season training webinar. Thank you all again for joining us again this evening. This is our fourth session now that we've run, and it is a Tacks and Gybes session from our very own Jack Fahy. Jack has been sailing lasers for over 4 years now, and he came to us from the Topper Fleet and started his sailing down in Loch Derg. However, just before we go to Jack, joining us this evening, we have Alex Fern. Alex is our Connacht representative from the Irish Laser Association. How are you, Alex?
Hi, Ross. Hi, Jack. Hi, Toby.
Hi, all. Alex, you're down in Galway Bay Sailing Club, and I believe you've been sailing laser about 7-8 years now.
Yeah, I came fairly late to the laser. I've kind of been windsurfing for years, and obviously sailed boats before that, but windsurfing for years, and then came back to the laser about 7 or 8 years ago. And I kind of grew up sailing in Galway Bay, so that was kind of where I started my laser sailing career again. And there was a good fleet of lasers there at the time, you know, a lot of masters, so it was good. It was a kind of a good time to get involved with it.
And then so you have a fleet down in Galway Bay Sailing Club. Where else in the West Coast is there?
There's a number of radials. There's a number of radial sailors in Mayo and Lochrie. I think there's 4.7s, and there's a couple of masters in Lochrie as well. Even though Foynes as well is, I suppose, technically in Munster, we tend to kind of keep in touch with them as well, being kind of slightly kind of, I suppose, a bit on the West Coast. So there's a good fleet. There's some laser sailors there as well, but they kind of do a lot of off-sailing, laser sailing. I suppose when the J47 or the J24s come ashore, they would tend to sail in the winter. We'd love to hear from Sligo. Sligo used to have a great laser fleet a few years ago, and that seems so. We'd love to hear from anybody in Sligo who wants to kind of get lasers going in there as well. And I mean, there's lasers everywhere, you know, like every other club. There's like a few lasers everywhere, but I suppose the main numbers are in Galway, Mayo, and Lochrie. So we've done, yeah, go on.
So there's Sligo, there's a few other places.
There's a few other places, yeah. I mean, you know, obviously it's difficult to know. Over the last sort of 18 months, it's been hard to keep track of, you know, what clubs are doing and stuff like that. So if there's anybody watching from Sligo or from Mayo or from any other clubs who are kind of trying to develop their laser fleet, like, by all means, I'd love to hear from them, you know.
And you'll put your contact details up?
I'll put my contact details in the chat during the webinar.
And is there any supports available for them if they were to do something?
Well, I mean, yes. There are, for anybody who wants to set up training, there are grants available from the Laser Association towards training. Now, it's not a massive amount, but we're trying to support and grow the fleet nationally. And obviously, we traditionally have never had the numbers that we've had in the other 3 provinces. So we're always looking to develop numbers in the West. So by all means, if anybody is trying to get, you know, and it doesn't have to be big numbers, 4 or 5, if you've got 4 or 5 kids in radials or 4.7s who want to get a coach down for the day, by all means, drop me an email and we can sort something out. We run training, we used to run training events, like 1-day training events in Galway, and we'd get sailors from Mayo, Lochrie, and from Galway as well. So we haven't had a chance to do that now for the last 18 months, but it's a thing we'd like to open up, and obviously open up to national sailors as well, because Galway's a great place to sail. I mean, if you have a westerly, we've got a really long downwind. You know, you've got like a 20-mile downwind there, you know, on a good day, you know, with lots of waves. So it would be a great place for people to, you know, practice their downwind sailing, you know.
Right. That's great, Alex. Thanks again for giving us that. I'm sure Jack and Toby would love any excuse to get down to Galway this summer.
Oh, we'd definitely have them, you know, and great place to come and practice your tacks and jibes. Loads of waves. Make it tricky.
Up and down Shop Street, I'm sure they do that.
That's it, yeah.
Thanks again,
the hard part is saying that you have to say it to the pubs, lads. You have to say it to the pubs.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks, Alex.
Thanks very much. I'll enjoy. Best luck, lads.
Thanks. Bye now. All right, sure. Listen, Toby, we're going to come back to you. So, Toby, and we'll come back to you both now. So, Jack and Toby, if you want to go ahead.
Right, thanks, Ross. Welcome everyone to my session on Gybes and Tacks, and I'm joined here by Toby. He's going to give me a hand as well. Just screen share here. There we go. Can everyone see that?
Yep. Looks great.
There you go. Actually, Toby, will you run people through the gallery view versus the speaker view? So you can actually make sure you can see the presentation rather than just look at my face.
So up at the top right there in your screens, you should be able to toggle between seeing one person seeing the screen and the presenter, and then seeing a panel of us. So there should be an option that allows you to see what Jack is sharing pretty well. So play around with that.
Perfect. Thanks very much. So basically, who am I? I'm sure a lot of people here probably never heard of me before. No idea who I am. Who am I to tell you how to tack and jibe? So just a little bit prepared here on some previous sailing I've done. I've sailed toppers, 4.7s, and laser radials, and I'm now in college, and I'm just doing college sailing, a bit of team racing, and a bit of big boat sailing. So that's kind of where I'm at there. Just a few things I've done. And right, straight into it. Tacking. Tacking, actually, a lot of tacking is done before you actually begin to tack. So you want to make sure you're doing a few things. First of all, you need to be at full speed. This will make everything a lot easier. If you go very slowly, I'm sure a lot of you have, like, think about if you're on the start line and you try to move your boat around when you're going from complete standstill. It's very slow. You're not going to turn quickly. So yeah, there you go. You need to be at full speed. Second thing, look around you for other boats, and I have a little bit thing here prepared for this. You want to time your tack so that you're not tacking into dirty wind. Toby, can you see this? See the whiteboard?
Yeah, sure can. You can toggle your screen again.
Is all good, is it? All right, so timing the tack. You here are the black boat. So think about it this way. You have a big right shift. Everyone's going to want to tack back onto starboard. But if you tack now, if you tack straight away on the shift, you're going to end up in dirty wind again. So you're going to want to wait for a few more seconds and kind of this situation. Can you see the bottom of this, Toby?
Yeah.
Perfect. You, instead of tacking straight away and ending up in dirty wind again, you want to give it a few seconds, tack onto the hip of the people, and you'll be in clean air. You will have to take the knock for a few more seconds. So there's moving around. You will have to sail on a header for a few more seconds, but it's worth it if you're able to stay in clean air. Second thing, on timing your tack, you need to pick a nice set of waves. So waves will come in sets. There's going to be kind of choppier sets. I see whiteboards because of slide deck main screen. Oh, sorry. That's a very good point. I'll stop screen sharing here for a second.
And yeah, you can also, there's a gray bar you can drag across the screen if you're on a laptop to make the whiteboard bigger.
Okay, thanks. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, what I was saying, sets of waves. There's going to be choppier waves and there's going to be kind of more still patches. You want to choose the calmer patches because it's a lot easier to tack in, it's a lot easier to move around in. Third thing, make sure your main sheet's not tangled up. The last thing you want is to cross the boat and try to flat on the far side only to realize that your foot's tangled up in the main sheet. You can twist your ankle, and that's kind of dangerous. And then the fourth thing and final thing, you want to throw your control lines to the far side, especially your kicker. I'm sure people have been sailing before, have tried to go for their kicker only to find out that it's trailing in the water on the far side of the boat, and you spend ages trying to like get at it. Huge pain. To avoid this, just throw the controls over before you begin the tack. Next, here we go. Right, and I have a few videos here actually of Charlie Buckingham and our own Finn Lynch. Sorry, this is getting away. Oh, sorry, my bad. No, what's wrong with me again? Sorry, I have some technical difficulties here. There we go. Okay, a few things I want to point out there. Just pause that. Sorry, the screen thing at the top is getting in the way. I can't see it. Stop the video. Sorry about that. Some light. Sorry about that. Basically, yeah. So there we go through Charlie's talk. Sorry, actually, I can't find this. Toby, can you see that the sound? Which video that sound coming from?
I can vaguely hear the sound. We can't see the video.
You can't see the video.
Yeah, you might have to change the setting there.
Okay.
The green bar at the top.
Okay, Grant, we're back.
My Zoom's awful complicated.
Oh yeah, I'm having an absolute mare here. Okay, we'll go back. Okay, we'll skip that point because that's not going very well, and we'll go back to the slideshow. Okay, so a few things on the tack. Oh, sorry, this video is making a lot of noise. Sorry, I'm gonna have to just
take your time.
I'm just gonna have to exit out of that. Okay, that's much better. All right, some things to note from that tack. Okay, we didn't see it, but you saw when Charlie starts to head up, he does it very slowly. He does it very gently. It's very important to do this, especially when it's light, because if you go too quickly, you go too shaky, you're going to shake all the wind out of the sail. Second thing, main sheet block to block. As you point up, you want to go block to block on the main sheet. This will help you turn up. And body position starfish without her. Joey, can you see that all right?
No, I can't.
No, you can't.
Make sure you're screen sharing as opposed to sharing the presentation. Yeah, right, and then again.
Like that. Can you see now?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, hopefully that's the end of the technical difficulties. Okay. It's not the end of the technical difficulties. All right, sorry, starfish. Watch this guy, how he crosses the boat. You see a lot of people, they cross the boat when they're going for the tack and they go both hands across. You don't want to do that. As you cross the boat, you want to lead with one hand and leave your main sheet hand trailing. So as the tiller hand goes across, you can see here he's going to grab the top and the main sheet hand trails. This means he can actually jump straight into the tack. Shot again. He can jump straight into the tack and kite away immediately. So see that? He goes like that, leads the tiller hand, main sheet hand trails, and he can go hiking straight away. I have a picture here now, shows you, there's a starfish. Here is a picture that kind of shows the difference between the two. Can you see that, Toby? Give me, yeah.
I think I can, yeah.
You can, yeah. The one of Tate. So this is actually Lake Lugano during Bee Academy by Thomas Shea. If anyone has a chance to do Bee Academy, I'd highly recommend it. It's great crack. So you can see here the boat on the right. He's led with his tiller hand. His main sheet hand has stayed behind. And we've chat here. Is there anything in the chat about the?
We can't see that video.
You can't see. It's not the video. It's the slide. Can you see the slide?
Can't see the slide. Sorry.
Can't see the slide. Okay. Sorry, this is gone.
Yeah, I think if you just reshare every time, it should be fine.
Okay. You see now?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about here is, like I was saying, leading with the main sheet hand, leading with the tiller hand and main sheet hand trails. You see the boat on the left, he's actually gone straight across. So he's gone both hands up and he's not going to be able to tack. He actually ends up facing the wrong direction. This is why I've been talking about the starfish. I'm sure if I've coached anyone, a few of you here might know me from Dunleary. I'm always talking about the starfish, crossing the boat in the right direction. If you cross poorly, you can actually end up like the boat here on the left side, and you won't be able to tack. You'll be taking a few more seconds to kind of figure yourself out. It's a lot slower. That's why the starfish is so important. Leading with the tiller hand, the boat on the right, he'll be able to flatten the boat now, and he'll be sailing along perfectly, lovely and ready again. So we keep going. A few key steps in the tack. Toby, can you see this again?
Yeah.
Okay, a few key steps once you've actually started to do the tack. Your back leg over the toe strap is very important because that's what you're going to hike into when you start to flatten the boat. If you try, I'm sure people have tried to kind of hook their leg under as they're going through the tack. It's a bit messy. It's another thing to do, and it's going to slow you down as well. So that's why you need to put the back leg over the toe strap and push the tiller all the way when the luff starts to flap. What I mean by that is you want to lean up slowly. Like I was saying, you want to be gentle about the tack, lean up pretty slowly. But then when the luff starts to flap, that's when you push the tiller all the way across and really go for the tack. That's when you kind of pull the boat on top of you as well. So roll the boat on top of you, the back leg stopping you from falling out of the boat. I'll show you a video now of that in a second. Duck into the boom, ease the main, starfish as you go across. Like I was saying, that's going to enable you to hike straight away. Swap your hands, slide the main back in, and then you're done your tack. Continue sailing. A few tacks now to show you. Toby, can you see that? The YouTube video?
Reshare your screen there again and it should come up.
Okay. Is it there?
Yeah.
Okay. A few things to point out there. This is obviously a bit windier than the last video, but it's the same principles, just a few minor tweaks. So in the last video, Charlie Buckingham is the sailor in the other one. He's going to lead up a lot slower because the conditions are lighter, and then kind of slide like a lot more gentle in the tack. Whereas this is a bit windier, you're going to be a bit more aggressive. So see here, even though it's windy, she still stays quite far out. Pulls the boat on top of her and goes. So she's like another thing I want to point out there. She's pulled a main sheet block to block there before she goes. Watch the blocks now as she crosses underneath the boom. She's going to pop them slightly. She did a bit late there. She's going to pop the blocks and enable her to slide underneath the boom. Okay, here we go. This is the one I'm actually looking for. She's going to pop the blocks here. See that? She's made a slight pop. The boom is going to lift up slightly and just enable you to get under that a little bit more. Yeah, and she changes hands as quickly as she can after the tack. Excellent over here. And we're in another video here. So I was talking about being gentle through the tack. Toby, actually, can you see this one now? Or I need to screen share again, do I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you see now?
It's all good.
Cool. Okay. One thing I want you to just focus on here is actually how gentle this tack is. Obviously, it's very, very, very light here, flat water. So you can actually take as much time as you want in this tack. The kind of flatter it is, the longer you can take in the tack. Okay, focus on his back leg. You see the way it goes underneath the toe strap on the far side and kind of hooks himself into the boat. And that's actually what is enabling him to lean out so far. So one more time, look at that. Look how far he is. He's able to stay there and then crosses. And with his back leg, it now becomes his front leg. It's going to catch him and he's going to be able to flatten the boat that way. So he's able to go hiking out like that way because he had the back foot under, catch them as he goes to the far side. Okay, that's really, really, really gentle. He's going to go for another one now. Oh, sorry. That roll he brings on top of him, that's going to enable him to hike hike out once he gets to the far side. He crosses the boat, flatten the boat, and he's going to get a nice little speed burst from that. So you can actually see just how far, even though there's no wind, you can see just how far you can push the boat. That back leg is what makes that so handy. So it makes that possible. Okay, he actually let his main sheet out a small bit too far there. But this is, like I said, this is excellent. Just one more. back leg, he's able to go so far out. Takes his time and crosses gently. Okay. Stop screen sharing there. And one more. Is he hooking under or over the toe strap? Great question. He's hooking under the toe strap. Actually, I'll show you that again. Can you see that again, Toby?
Yep.
Okay, this is probably the best one. So his back leg is, so say, actually, so you can see it here. So actually, I'll see if you can see it. It goes under the toe strap, not over the toe strap. So the back leg, far side, hooks under, and the front leg kind of stays in the normal position. So you can kind of see that there. He's actually going so far as he's hooking his toes under the grab rail. It's going to give him a bit more leverage, sorry, a bit more, keeps him in the boat a bit better. There you go. You can see that shot there under the toe strap on the far side. In the chat. Isn't that pumping, getting out faster from the tack? Marco, you're actually dead right. The rule is that you're not allowed to leave the tack faster than you enter the tack, but this is really, really, really hard to actually judge. Like the jury can't, like they can't really prove it, to be honest, unless you have kind of metrics in the boat. You know, like the America's Cup, they'll have kind of the speed of the boat. But this isn't the case in the lasers. They don't know exactly how fast the boats are going. So unless it's really, really obvious, they can't pin you for anything. Like it is actually, I'll show you one more time, Marco. So this is how fast he's gone before the tack. The speed difference is very subtle. I mean, yeah, what do you think about that, Toby? Just on the pumping.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a gray area, and I've been done for it a couple of times. I know Chem is here, so he might, you know, have a good insight on this. But I think you have to significantly gain out of your tack from an absolute standstill to get penalised there. If it's small gains, no. Well, the whole idea of a roll tack is that you're gaining some kind of speed out of it.
Yeah, it's very tough. It's a serious grey area. Like you said, Toby. One more video here. I think this is Sam Meach, I want to say. 503. This is probably my favorite tack I've seen on video. It's so smooth. 503. Toby, tell me when you can see me. You see me now?
Yep.
Okay, watch these. You can't miss it. Here we go. Look how far he actually gets the boat over here. It's fantastic. It's so smooth. Swaps his hands. Actually, there's a few people like to swap their hands during the tack. A few people like to swap their hands after the tack. Obviously, he's during the tack. But yeah, you can see he flattens the boat straight away, and he finishes in the same position that he started the tack in. It's another actually key point. Main sheet comes back in very quickly. Watch that one more time. He'll let the main sheet out as he crosses the boat. The main sheet will come back in as he flattens and starts sailing normally again. One more time. Just watch the main sheet this time, and the main sheet comes back in. Stop sharing there.
Yeah, just a note on that. If you're flattening any kind of maneuver, it's the same with kind of rounding and trigger pulls. If you're ending up going upwind, if you try and flatten with your sail fully like hauled in, you're not going to get any acceleration. You're just literally fighting the apparent wind that comes from this kind of movement. If your sail's out a bit, you get a really nice kind of forward boost out of it. I see Ewan's here. But yeah, like Jack said, sail out, bring it in, nice boost.
Cool. We might just do finishing the tacks, and then any comments on the kick retention when roll tacking. Actually, that's a key point I have in a slide or two, so I'll hold that question, Richard, for a second. Heavy wind tacks. Here we go. Toby, tell me when you can see me.
coming up now. There it is.
Everyone Tacks. Cool. So what we've been going through so far is kind of lighter wind tacks, but now we're going to talk about kind of tacking in heavier conditions, and the technique is slightly different. So I'm sure there's a lot of beginners here on the call. If you're less experienced, don't worry about getting boosts or speed out of the tack, or having a very effective, very quick tack. All you want to do is get from A to B, get from port to starboard, or starboard to port, without getting stuck head to wind. If you're doing that, you're doing brilliantly. There we go. Hiking as quick as you can, finish the tack in the same position you were before the tack. So what I mean by that is, if you're hiking at the front of the cockpit, you would want to finish your tack kind of hiking out of the back of the cockpit. It's basically finish in the same place. Don't come in too early. Come in when you see the luff flapping. What I mean by that is, when you are throwing the tailor over to the far side, you don't come in too early. I think there's a video here. 310. There's actually a video taken in Ireland. There's connection issues here. So we can see that?
Yep.
Okay, watch this boat here. It's about to tack. So what? Sorry if I'm throwing anyone under the bus here. I think this is taken in Dunleary. I don't know if actually don't know who the sailor is. Don't know if he's on the call. But watch this middle boat. Okay, what I mean by not going in too early, waiting for the luff to flap, is, see this boat? He starts to cross the boat before the boom has even started to come over to the far side. So he's gonna reach the far side far too early. He's not gonna have any roll on the tack, and he's not gonna be very quick because he doesn't have that roll. So see that? It's flat before the tack, it's flat after the tack. It's not as quick as the boats around him. Okay, is that out, Toby? Is that obvious enough that the kind of crossing? You want to wait? Yeah. You want to give it a second or two more questions. Maybe like wins.
Obviously, as it gets windier, you're gonna want to go across earlier, like he's kind of demonstrating. But definitely, they're definitely prime roll tack conditions, I think. Yeah.
Cool. Actually, question from Barry McCartan. I know my old topper coach. Hello, Barry. Very light winds. Are you also initiating the row pulling on toe strap by main sheet front, or is that bad practice now? We're not. I was never taught to do it that way. So I think it is something that seems to have phased out, because I think a lot of people, a lot of older sailors seem to do it, and a lot of the newer guys that are coming, the younger guys are coming in, they don't seem to do it. So I think it is something that's kind of being phased out. But if it helps you get across and you tack well off it, absolutely crack on. But I wouldn't actually personally do it myself. How about yourself, Toby? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. But I can see why you would. It's one of those things that's preference. But
yeah, if it helps you, it helps you. But I think it is something that seems to be phased out. Coming out of tacks in all conditions, should you now switch hands as soon as possible? Some people, this is another thing. Some people do, some people don't. They're great. There are people that tack really, really well, that change their hands through the tack, and there are other people that change during the tack and after the tack. Like the videos I was showing you of the New Zealander, he changed hands during the tack, but the guy who actually won that event, he tacks a bit later in the video. He's a French guy called Bernaz. He changes after. So to the top guys in the world, and two very, very different techniques. It's all personal preference. Is that just keep way forward and resheet best, really? Yeah, it's just kind of it. I like to switch hands. Toby, do you ever switch hands during your tacks?
Yeah, I try to switch them as soon as possible, because when it comes to getting, if your main goes out, when it comes to getting that main back in, it can be quite hard to do that while your hand's kind of back here. So as you're kind of extending up the other side, a quick switch And then it really helps to be able to flatten and get that main back in when your hands are sorted out, I think, personally.
Yeah, I do like to, especially when it's light, change hands. It's a bit more tricky when it's windier, to change hands during the tack. Stop sharing there. And actually this might be a good time to bring in Ewan and Liam. Hi lads. Can you hear me?
Hello. How are
Hey lads,
things?
how are you?
Hello.
Good to see you. Thanks very much for joining us.
No worries. Thanks for having us on. So
How's Portugal? Is the weather good?
good, yeah. Nice. It's been really nice conditions the last few days. So been averaging about 8 to 12 knots. So nice sea breezes, good sunshine. So nothing to complain about really.
That sounds nice. So when does the actual event start?
Yeah, I'll let Liam answer that.
It starts, well, we have measurement starts on the 17th and then racing starts on the 19th. So six days of racing in total, kind of like our Europeans or Worlds.
Okay. And how many spots are there up for grabs at this event?
So we have, this is like the European qualifiers. So there's 2 European spots left. So yeah, I think there's roughly like 17 countries going for those 2 spots. So there's a lot at stake really. So, but yeah, everyone is out. Basically, everyone's here already, getting their prep and stuff in. So it's a big, important event.
Okay. Is this the last qualifier?
Yeah, this is the last qualifier. They just had the last Asian qualifier there in Oman. So the final 2 spots for Asian countries have been taken, and then this is the final qualifier for the European spots.
Yeah, it's been kind of a long time coming. We were supposed to have our event in Genoa roughly this time last year, and that was obviously cancelled because of COVID. And there was a few venues that were taking them on and then cancelling them. Like we were supposed to have the event in Pierre's, then that got cancelled, and then Villamora took it up because there's just so much uncertainty around COVID. But we're kind of thankful that it's going ahead and we get an opportunity to race for the spots instead of them going to world rankings. Fair
enough. Actually, how would your preparation look like in terms of how much training you're doing in the months leading up to this kind of event?
Yeah, generally I'm training 5-6 days a week. In the kind of 2 months before, we definitely be on the water that kind of time of week, and then as you're getting closer to the regatta, you kind of ease off a little bit in terms of what you feel is right for you in terms of how fresh you want to be coming into the regatta. So we're in that kind of phase at the moment where we're just doing the final preparations and just trying to feel right. Like
would you have you been doing like training camps away from Ireland, or are you training in Ireland, or where are you based a lot of the time?
We've probably been away from Ireland more than we've actually been at home, and that's more just because we have had to join some international groups to get some really high quality training in, because we're quite a small team. So we can only do so much at home, and obviously there's not an awful lot of racing, so we've kind of been forced to go away. So we were actually here before Christmas for a few weeks, which was nice, and then we headed to Malta, and then we were in Lanzarote and then Croatia. So we've been traveling around, but that's kind of just following where all the top guys have been going. So we've been getting just good training in there, and now we're kind of back where it all started a few months back.
How does COVID affect your training? Because it's always something I've been curious about. Are you guys affected by that at all? Are you able to train with like you were saying, you're training with teams from different countries? Does COVID affect that at all, or is it just business as usual?
It's kind of surprising. Like, it just depends where you are in terms of what the regulations are. And I think compared to home, a lot of places are more relaxed. And I think when you go to warmer countries and everybody's outside a lot more, it's easier for the regulations to be a bit more relaxed. So we haven't really been altered in how we do things when we're away. I think it's just kind of normal stuff in terms of not mixing with other people as much as you normally would. But yeah, no major issues really.
But I guess our
We're
travel,
lucky in that sense.
our traveling to the different venues has become a lot harder than it used to be, because we have to get COVID tests when we're traveling to the country, and then when we're traveling home, and then we have a certain amount of quarantine time. Again, when we're traveling out and traveling back, so that affects things here and there. But we kind of adapted well, and our coach Vasily, he's really good. He's always had a plan B, so in case something changes, like we were planning going to Palma earlier in the year, but that got pushed back to October. So we kind of adapted our schedule then. But it's the same with everyone, so we're all in the same boat, I guess.
Fair enough. Yeah, it does seem like good crack. I've been watching videos. You're training. You're out in Lanzarote in Croatia, while we're all here in lockdown. I've been very jealous. But,
Yeah, we're definitely very fortunate to be away, but hopefully I'll be back sailing at home soon as well. Be nice to see more boats out in Dunleary for sure for the summer.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
I don't think I've done an Irish event now for over a year, which feels a bit strange. So
Neither of any of us.
hopefully the Irish circuit gets back up and started soon, and we can all get back out, because I think that's what everyone's missing.
Yeah, I know I'm missing it. I was pretty sure haircuts please go times.
I have a bit of a hat hair here because we've been training all day and doing a bit of boat work, so that's why I have the hat on. Definitely fortunate to get a haircut though here and there. Otherwise, you'd probably have big locks like Jack.
Yeah, we actually haven't cut each other's hair to answer your question, Barry. But yeah, it wouldn't put it past us if we need to get it done. Yeah.
Needs must.
Actually, another thing I was wondering: do you guys bring your own boats over, or are you gonna charter boats for this event?
We brought our own boats over, so we've had boats in Europe since November last year. Since we were in Portugal in November last year, we've had boats in Europe, and they just stay in the trailer in Europe and go to wherever we're training. So I actually did the drive when we were going to Croatia. I did the drive from Portugal to Croatia with the boats, which was like 3,000 kilometers, a bit mad.
It's a long drive.
So yeah, some logistics is a bit more difficult when you're bringing your own boat about, but it's also good to have your own equipment and be a bit more organized in that sense. Yeah.
That all sounds great, lads. Thanks so much for joining us. Best of luck next week.
Yeah,
Thanks very much. Thanks very much.
Cheers, lads. Enjoy.
Cheers.
Take care, everyone.
There.
Nice surprise.
Yeah, best of luck to the two lads. I'm sure you give it hell. Right, actually that splits the talk up quite nicely. We talked about Tacks in the first half, and now we're just going to talk a small bit about Gybing. So yeah, Gybing. One sec, let me screen share here. I finally got the hang of it. I think. Toby, can you see that?
I can indeed.
You can indeed. Maybe I haven't got the hang of it. Gybing. Perfect. Yes, which is something I read. There was an article. I think it was like this. I think it was International Sailing Academy. Something like one of those kind of sail coach kind of companies. But they had an article on jibing. It's quite interesting. They said, you won't jibe more than a handful of times during the race, but the potential for gain or loss is huge. And that's absolutely true. You can actually get away with not jibing at all during a race if you go downwind and you choose the right gate every time. You can literally get away with not jibing at all. But obviously, that is not really what happens a lot of the time. So you do need to be able to jibe, especially during when it's windy. The opportunities to capsize or have an absolute mare or pitch bow during a jibe will lose you a couple of minutes in a race. So obviously, the potential for gains or loss is massive. So you do need to be able to jibe quite well. Show you now. There's a few. There's a few techniques. There's a relatively new technique as well, actually, in jibing that I'm going to show you now. I think it's quite cool. It's a bit more difficult to do. So I'd say unless you're if you've had a few years in the circuit, maybe don't give it a go. or not tried yet, but no, a bit further back. Toby, tell me, can you see that?
No, I can't think
Or
you're
not?
okay.
Give me a sec. How about now?
Yep, it's good.
44. Watch the French guy. Oh my God. See the way he's going to grab the falls at the back? We're going to have an ad now. Okay. I thought I would have gone away with that.
Someone's studying hard.
Yeah. Targeted ads. All right, watch this. Okay, so watch this. So you know the usual jibe, you kind of use the main sheet block, but this is actually quite cool. So he's going to pull the main sheet in a small bit. He's going to use his tiller, hook his tiller around the back, which of the falls, which is the falls are the back two lines of the main sheet, the back of the boat. He's going to grab them and pull that across his head instead of doing the conventional tack. So he's grabbed the main sheet there at the back, pulled it across, and throws it in front. And the guy behind him as well. That's Bernaz in the front, and that's Robert Scheidt in the back. Toby, what's your take on those kind of jobs compared to the conventional job?
They wouldn't be my go-to, but definitely when it's really light, you can gain a lot. The most important thing I'd say with it is that you need to grab the main sheet with your front hand. You wouldn't really think it, but your front hand is reaching across. So I don't know what it looks like from your perspective, but I'm on starboard now. Back hand goes across, and you're doing that kind of thing, which is kind of hard to get your head around at first. But yeah, especially also if it happens to be really light downwind and the umpires are kind of going crazy with the yellow flags, it's a lot easier to control your speed with those jibes and not come crashing down and either messing it up, shaking wind out of your sail, or getting too much of a boost. They're nice and simple. You literally just keep your momentum the whole way down.
Yeah, it's very handy. For a little boost afterwards. I'm sure if anyone's seen Oppie's jibe, the way they grab the falls and pull it across, so they have all the power in the main sheet on the boom just over these two ropes. They can actually just give it a tug and it gets a great little pump. But yeah, I think it is quite a view on jibing off the ratchet block, and as the French guy did. Yeah, like if you can do it, it's really, really cool, but it is quite hard to do. It does take quite a lot of practice, but it also looks really cool. If you bop up through the bench and you can see someone who's able to do it, chances are they're quite a good sailor.
You're the first person I saw doing it. I think you were a fan of them, weren't you?
Yeah, I think I saw your man doing it, and then I brought it in, or tried to bring it in anyway. But yeah, like you and Liam, they'd probably, actually, I don't know if they might do that, or they might do the other way. But both are quite fast. But actually, even within that, even within that type of jibe, there's actually two different takes on it. Actually, I might show you that video one more time. So if you look at the first guy that jibes, he's going to grab the falls. Go back, Toby. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So the French guy is going to jibe. 1 sec. Okay, so watch this. So he's going to jibe. He's going to let go of the falls and he's going to push the boom forward. Whereas Robert Scheidt, the guy in the background, the Brazilian guy, is going to keep them in his hand and do a little pump after. So even though it's a kind of a different style attack, and even within that, there are kind of different ways to go about it. So he pushed the boom forward, and now Robert Scheidt is going to keep it in his hand and get a little pump, and only now he's going to let go of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Caught in the back, corners jibing. Any advice? Yes, Kevin. Answer your question now in a second. Actually, on the next slide.
And yeah, just quickly on them. Jibing can be a really handy way of sorting yourself out when you're in that awkward situation where there's minimal wind downwind, the boom's in the middle, you can't get it out. If you get loads of main in, get a quick jibe in, get a bit of a boost out of it, and then let your sail out as you come out of the jibe, it can help getting the boom away from you.
Yeah, absolutely. PowerPoint here now. The next one, next Thompson text video 110. Okay, now I'm going to get into the conventional style of jibing. We'll say more at 110, I think it is. Toby, tell me when you can see me. Can you see me now?
Yep.
10. There we go. So I'm sure people are far more used to this kind of jibe. So a few key pointers here. That's quite smooth. And resharing. There's stopping and resharing. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, a few key steps before you actually start the jibe. A lot of these steps are very similar to the ones for the tacking. The main things are you want to make sure there's no boats around you that you're going to tack into or jibe into. You don't want to hit anyone when you're doing your tacks. On the jibing, another thing is if it's very windy, you actually want to look behind you to see what the conditions are that you'll be jibing into. So think about it this way: if you're in 20 knots of gust, sorry, 20 knots of breeze, that's quite windy. But if there's a gust coming up behind you of 30 knots and you jibe just as that gust hits, you're going to want to know that's going to happen. You're going to want to be prepared for that. It's if that catches you by surprise, chances are you are going to capsize. So before you're jibing, do look behind you, see what the wind is like behind you. Another thing, be at full speed. This will make turning so much easier. And this will actually, it's kind of counterintuitive. But again, I'll go to the example. It's really, really windy and jibing is quite difficult. Going quicker actually makes it easier. So think about this. So if you're think about it this way, if you're completely stopped and there is 20 knots of wind hitting you, that's going to be the full 20 knots of wind hitting you. But if you're going at 10 knots with the wind and it hits you at 20 knots, it's only going to be, Toby, you're the engineer, you might explain this a bit better than me. But if you're going at 10 knots and the 20 knots is coming behind you, you're only going to have 10 knots of force hitting you. Does that make sense? Did I explain that?
Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate on that? Is that?
Yeah, no, the basically the quicker you're going downwind, the less apparent wind you've got behind you. So the less force you've got hitting your sail, which makes the jibe a lot easier. So yeah, we've all tried jibing from a standstill when it's really windy, and a lot of the time it doesn't end well. So yeah, the faster the better, the more control.
Exactly. Main sheet untangled. Like I was saying before, getting your feet caught, it's dangerous. Want to make sure it's fully untangled. Try to jibe when you're surfing on a wave. It makes it a lot easier when it's windy. Again, back to the speed thing. It's the quicker you're going, the easier it is. So the jibe itself, we'll go back and actually watch the videos and I'll take you through it at 1 minute. Stop sharing there. Toby, tell me when you can.
Yeah, gotcha.
Where is it? It's at the beginning here. Lovely and smooth. Okay, a few points on that. Going into the jibe, you're going to want to have a few handfuls of main sheet already taken in. If you try to jibe with the sail fully out, you're going to need to almost be by the lee to almost like a 90-degree angle to the wind before you jibe. So you do want to have the main sheet quite far in. Another thing I want to point out is the roll that he gets here. So this is Nick Thompson. Nick Thompson, I don't know if he sells. I don't think he sells lasers anymore, but he used to be one of the best in the game. He's won several world championships. He's a great sailor. And this is how he tacks. So what's the roll that he gets? So he pulls the boat on top of him, and he starts to cross the boat as the sail comes across. So he'll be watching the sail. So look where his eyes go. He's going to look at the sail. See, when he sees the leech starts to flop, he's going to give it one last pull the main sheet, and the sail's going to come across.
Yeah, I think that helps to answer Kevin's question earlier about getting the main sheet hooked. It's all in how much main sheet you bring in. So the more main sheet you get in, the less likely it's going to be hooked because it's going to be sagging less as it comes across. And then, as Jack was saying, that little flick at the end can really help it. So yeah, if you go jibe to jibe with the main fully out, the further it's out, the more likely it is to get hooked. Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So just a little recap here. Point up, few handfuls of main sheet. We're gonna get the main sheet in. Then you start away to a by the lead position. So you're going past dead downwind for the by the lead. Keep sheeting in. Watch that leech. As soon as the leech starts to flick, so the leech is the edge of the sail. Once the edge of the sail starts to flick, one last pull of the main sheet, and it's going to come across. Right when that happens is when you're going to want to cross the boat, and you're going to want time sitting down, so that you sit down. So basically, you sit down at the same time as the wind hits the sail. So yeah, what else? Yeah, actually, like Toby was saying, answering Kevin's question there. That last little pull will help stop the falls on the main sheet getting caught on the back of the corner. Launch the far right, and then steer and swap. So actually, watch. We'll go actually back to the video. Next video now. Watch when he changes hands. It's. Can you see that, Toby?
Yeah.
See, so he crosses the side. He steers first, and then he's going to swap his hands. So just one more time. Pulls on top, 1, 2, 3, and then that last. Actually, I was talking about that last pull. Look how far out his hand goes. 1, 2, 3. Last one, all the way back. So it's a big one. I think there's one more of Paul Goodison, who's also an ex-British laser sailor, several gold medals. He was in the kind of Tom Slingsby era, and I think he was his main rival. So very, very good sailor. I'll just find this for you here. You see?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna go back, and I'm actually one more thing I want to talk about there is his timing. So as he timed it, so he sits down at the side. Yeah, sorry, excuse me. He sits down at the same time as the sail fills. So watch where he crosses. Perfect. Time's there. Sits down, flattens the boat, and starts sailing off again. So yeah, very, very smooth. What you want to look at there is the smoothness of the motions. His tiller, he's not doing any jerky tilly movements. He's steering gently through the wave, gently through the maneuver, and flattening gently as well. So yeah, I think that about wraps it up. We're almost out of time here.
Yeah, there's one more thing on the roll jibes. If you do manage to get loads of roll when it's really light, it's really important that you don't kind of come crashing down and over flatten it. So when you're flattening, you want to be more aggressive at the start of your flatten, and then as you get closer to flat, kind of scoot your bum in a little bit so that the boat doesn't go way over. So more aggressive with the initial flatten and then slide in. It's the same for tacks, but especially for jibes, I'd say. I don't know what you think.
That's a very good point. Actually, if we go back to, do you remember the German guy in the orange bib, the video I showed of the tacks when the water was really, really flat? He'll go out, and he did the same, hiking all the way out, and then as the boat starts to come down, his bum comes all the way in. So yeah, exactly same principle applies for the jibes and for the tacks as well. So yeah, I think we're finished 4 months ahead of schedule. Thank you everyone. Hopefully, sorry about the connection. The technical difficulties for the first 10 minutes, but we got over that.
Well done, Jack. It was great.
Cheers, Toby.
That's great, Jack. Yeah, thanks a million for that. No, you got over those difficulties quick enough. But Jack, just actually have a few questions for you. This starfish, that's the first time I've heard that mentioned. That's just basically having your two hands each side, going back to the tacking, which you went to first, having your one hand with the tiller, one hand with the main sheet, and then going through your tack and it makes the tack much easier. So if someone is, I know when I started laser sailing, lots of people started off, that was one of the things I always got tangled up. You do your tack and you come out the other side and you're there going, where's this, where's that, you know? So that is, I have to say, that's a great technique that you do mention that I'll definitely take from.
Yeah, and it's called, yeah, so I actually didn't say it, but it's called a starfish because you end up like looking, you look like a bit of a starfish when you're doing it. I don't know if that's the technical term for it. Probably not.
It's a great word. You'll always remember that. And then the other bit I like, I have to say, I just realized you told me there, I actually don't have to do a jibe now when I'm racing. That could save me a lot of pain, Yeah. Well, that was brilliant. Thanks very much for that, Jack. If anyone's any questions, put them up now, and I'm sure the two lads can answer. But we also need to thank Ewan and Liam, who joined us there, part of the Irish laser team that are down in Portugal now, trying to qualify Ireland basically on a spot in Tokyo. Isn't that correct, for the laser standard? And they're down there with Finn as well. And who else is down there with them?
So I think it would be Tom Higgins, Liam Glynn, who's joined us there, Ewan McMahon, who joined us there, and also Finn Lynch. So it'll be the four of them.
Yeah. So that's part of the Irish team. So they all go down there and do it. Okay. So
actually, I can see a good question there from Marco about tacking. About taking penalties. So actually, my opinion would be, if you're going upwind and you get a penalty, tack first, then jibe. And if you're going downwind, jibe first, then tack. And the reason I would think of doing that would be because think about it this way: when you're doing a 360 and you're going downwind, if you try to scoot upwind, you're going to be at full speed. You're not as quick coming out of a jibe as you are going into it. So if you are going downwind and you go for the tack first, you'll actually gain loads of ground going upwind. Whereas if you do the jibe first, you'll gain more ground going downwind and you'll be slower for the tack. So actually, sorry, I don't think I explained that very well. Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah, it's I don't think it's set in stone the way you do it, but definitely, like, I 100% agree. I do the same, but then when it's survival conditions going upwind, personally, I wouldn't tack first, because if you do a bit of a crash tack, you come out of the tack with no speed, and it's really hard to bear away when you've got no speed and it's really windy. Yeah. So when it's really breezy, I'd do that. But apart from that, yeah, spot on.
Good point. Any other questions there? Bill, which is the forward foot when tacking? So the forward foot. So say you're sailing along on starboard, your forward foot will be your right foot because it's the one towards the front of the boat, and then your back will be your left foot. So that's for starboard, and then obviously it's the vice versa for when you're on port. So yeah, and it's the back foot that goes on the part you go over the toe strap and then hook yourself in. So the back foot hooks in. Any other questions? Fire ahead there.
No, I think that is all our questions. If there's any more questions, send them in now. But just while we're waiting for any more questions, I need to thank Craft Insure, who sponsored this event generously and have allowed us. Lads, do you want, have you any, just in terms of the RNLI donations or anything?
Yeah, actually meant to say it before we lost half the people, but we still have 85, so not too bad. Basically, myself and Toby, we're doing this for free. Obviously, the Zooms are free, but if you have some spare change, if you €1 or two, we are doing a fundraiser for the RNLI, and our fees for the sessions are going towards that as well. I think actually Toby has the link.
Yeah, I'll send it in now. Basically, we see this as an excuse to kind of raise for what is a very relevant cause for us, especially at the moment, because when those of us who are heading out, we can't have a coach or rescue boat to look after us. So the RNLI are more relevant than ever, and they need it more than ever. So we're using this as an excuse to raise money. So I'll send that link in there. Give me 1 sec.
So yeah, the link's in there. So yeah, literally anything. Only a €1 or two is anything helps.
Anything at all.
Yeah.
There it is. Hopefully that works.
And there you go. I'm from Jack. Question from Jack Moriarty. I'm 14. Should I go do the Worlds? Absolutely. You should go do the Worlds. It's a fantastic experience. even if you come dead last, it's 100% worth doing it. I think some of my best memories from sailing have been at world events. There's a great buzz. There's the opening ceremony. There's people from 60, 70, 80 different countries there. 350 sailors, like, maybe it is fantastic crack. I would 100% recommend doing it. You'll learn loads because the best sailors in the world will be there. Even if you're looking at them from behind, if you're coming dead last, like, you'll be able to see what they do, what the top guys do. Absolutely, if you have any opportunity to the worlds, I would 100% take it, especially when it's in your own country.
Definitely. And then further to that, what I found was, after doing the bigger events, the bigger international events, you come back to the regionals and nationals, and all of a sudden they're not scary anymore, and you have so much more confidence, and it really does a lot for your game at Ireland, here at home, when you get to experience the big ones. So absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great point on the scary thing. I feel like if you're coming in, if you're quite young, maybe into the Slazer fleet, especially if you're going to the radial fleet, there's people there's like 50-year-old men in there, so I can see why it'd be quite easy to get intimidated. But after doing a 4.7 worlds, you'll be flying. You'll be not be intimidated at all. Any other question? There was something else I was thinking.
That's great.
Can't remember what I was going to say. It'll come back to me.
All right. Well, that's great, Jack. Again, yeah. I'm not 50 yet, but I'm not that scary, so don't worry, everyone. Just get out. Exactly, that was a great point. In terms of when you're young, yeah, get out into the international events. Even if you're 14 or 40 or 50, the international events, you do so much learning at them. And then, exactly as you said, when you come back home, things are a lot easier.
Exactly, yeah. And not even in terms of it's a great sailing experience, obviously, doing worlds, but it's a great kind of life experience as well. They're great crack. They're really, really fun. 50 isn't old. I'm not saying it's old. Never said it was old. Disclaimer.
You guys might be able to hear my laptop notifications are going crazy, and they're the donations are flying in already. So thanks very much to those who've done it and those who are going to. That's amazing.
Okay, we'll finish up there. We've hit our limit. If Alex is still there now, he has promised you a night out in Galway. So listen, thanks again for that. Thanks, Jack. That was brilliant. And I think we'll see you all next Tuesday for the next session. I'm not sure what it is, but if you check up the Laser website, all the details are there. All right, enjoy.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, Jack.